Diplomacy aside, let's focus on what's happening right now in Ukraine. 27 days, that's nearly a month now that Russia has been bleeding Ukraine. Destruction and devastation has taken over Ukraine's besieged southern city of Kherson. Kherson is one of those cities that reportedly has already fallen to Russia. Residential buildings have turned into ruins. You had, in fact, civilians in Kherson so bravely stepping out, fighting back, protesting there. And at such a time when they were protesting against Russians, they were fired at by troops, by Russian troops. This footage on your screen shows exactly that moment when people started running for their lives because they were out there on the streets protesting against the war against Russia when they were fired upon. Another symbolic move was that the Russian army removed the Ukrainian flag from the city administration building on March 17th, a few days ago. And this too led to huge resistance from their citizens as the besieged city refused to cooperate with enemy troops. Russian forces even lost one of their top commanders amid this battle for Kherson. Kyiv is telling a similar story as Kherson. Russian hellbirds have left the Ukrainian capital in shambles as Putin's missiles continue to ravage civilian buildings. Ukrainian President Zelensky, in his daily address this time, has warned that the failure of peace talks with Russia could lead to World War III, urging Putin now to come to the talking table directly. Let's take this across to Rajesh Pawar, who's been getting us every single update from Kyiv. Rajesh, extremely disturbing images that are emerging right now in Kherson, where civilians who were peacefully protesting were attacked. Tell us what's really the situation in Kherson, because we're getting a number of reports of Ukrainians not cooperating with the Russians.
Kherson was the first town in Ukraine which was captured by the invading Russian forces. It is reported that protesters were protesting today against the Russian occupation in the Independence Square of Kherson city. When they were protesting, when the peaceful march was being taken out in the Freedom Square in Kherson city, it is reported that Russian troops have fired on these protesters, peaceful protesters, and have used stun grenades to disperse them. A lot of people have been injured, and there are reports that people might have even died, though none of these figures have been confirmed or verified by any of the authorities so far. But let me tell you, in Kherson, there's a large number of people who resent Russian occupation, unlike what the Russians thought. They thought they'll be welcomed there because most of the people were Russian speakers in Kherson, but it appears that most of the people now, the common people who are left behind in Kherson city, are not very happy with this occupation by the Russian forces of this town and were protesting against this occupation in the Freedom Square today morning when they were fired upon and were dispersed by force.
The other aspect that I want to focus on, the other city that's been seeing this kind of Russian pounding, is the city of Mariupol, Rajesh. There's been a relentless Russian assault on Mariupol. There are reports of hospitals, of churches, of apartment buildings, all of that being attacked. What's the situation on ground in that city? Does it look like it's going to fall to Russia?
Kherson, the port city on the coast of Azov Sea, which is of great strategic importance to both Russia and Ukraine, is right now focus of international attention because of the humanitarian catastrophe, the humanitarian crisis which is unfolding in that city. The city has been under siege by Russian troops for now more than a week, and no water, gas, electricity, or any kind of supplies are allowed inside the city. The city probably have right now about 200,000 civilians stuck there. The UN agencies have also reported that they are unable to send any kind of humanitarian aid inside the city. Fierce fighting is reported between Russian forces and Ukrainian forces inside the city, though 90% of city seems to be under control of Russian troops. But street to street and house to house fighting is going on in the built-up area inside the city. And this has led to great crisis, humanitarian crisis, which is unfolding there. Houses have been bombed, churches have been bombed, schools have been bombed. So the civilians in there are right now in a very difficult situation and are unable to leave the city. So it is truly a humanitarian crisis now unfolding in Mariupol.
Right. Truly, Rajesh, we're going to keep coming across to you for those updates from other cities as well. In the meanwhile, I want to play out what Rajesh got us from the capital city of Kyiv. That's where he's based. In Kyiv also, there have been massive explosions that have been reported in the last few days. At a supermarket in the heart of Kiev, there was an attack in which reportedly 6 people also died. Here's the report that Rajesh filed from there.
There's a lull in the battle on the outskirts of Kyiv city. There has been no fighting in the northeast in the Brovary area, which witnessed a big anti-tank battle a few days back. And the fighting in Irpin, Bucha, Gostomel in that area has also reduced a little bit. There was little fighting, but not intense like it was a few days back. However, the city was hit by 2 big missiles yesterday after a gap of almost 4 days. One of the missiles hit a supermarket, which was on fire after that, and it is reported that 6 people died in that.
Russian forces are going all out to capture the port city of Mariupol and reportedly even entered the heart of the city. It's the 3rd largest city of Ukraine. Battered and ravaged Ukrainians
to Ukrainian forces to lay down their arms and surrender. The Deputy Prime Minister of the country responded with a clear no to Moscow's offer. Ukraine has been putting up a brave face, but on the ground things are going from bad to worse visibly. Russia over the weekend bombed an art school that was converted into a shelter with 400-odd civilians inside. President Zelensky referred to the strike as the work of a mass murderer, putting the global spotlight on the city of Mariupol. Hundreds of residents still remain stranded in the port city and are fast running out of food and water. With non-stop shelling, people are forced to stay underground, coming up only to bid farewell to their loved ones and burying them anywhere they find space.
We have been in a basement for 11 days. This is the 25th day of war. We have been counting every one of them. We hope for the best, to live as humans. The apartment have been broken. Everything is broken. Where can we go from the basement? We are cooking at a fire. For now, we have some food and some firewood. In a week, we will have nothing, no food at all. What should we do?
But why is President Putin hell-bent on grabbing Mariupol? For starters, capturing this city would mean a full 100% control of the Sea of Azov. It's also just 50 kilometers from Russia and 85 kilometers from the Donetsk and Lugansk regions, both Russian-held. Putin is doing everything he can to get Mariupol to surrender, because it will help him extend dominance over Crimea. And the Russian president's Mariupol plan has led to unprecedented civilian casualties, a children's hospital bombed, mass graves in the heart of the city, and even shelters completely destroyed. With Rajesh Pawar in Kyiv, Ukraine, Bureau Report, India Today.